Hello New Lenox, I'm Nancy Hoehn, Economic Development Director for the Village of New Lenox, and today our Notice New Lenox program brings us to St. Jude School. Located on 2nd Avenue, kind of tucked away in the neighborhood here and within the same campus as St. Jude's Parish. We're going to go inside and visit with Principal Watson and Father Lewandowski to find out more of what St. Jude's has to offer your children. Hello, we're now inside St. Jude School with the principal, Luann Watson, and Father Lewandowski from the parish. And thank you so much for inviting us in today. Before school starts, obviously.
Yes.
Halls are a little quiet now, and want to make sure that we have the opportunity to really share with the community what you do for the families that are part of the school family here. So,
well, great. Welcome. We're glad you're here today.
Thank you. So let's start out a little bit with the history of the school. Obviously, St. Jude's has been in New Lenox for a long time.
This year we're celebrating our 63rd year of the school. The parish was started in 1934. And then in 1950 they added the school.
Well, and you know, that's really kind of evident, I think, when you drive up and approach the complex here, and you guys are really tucked away in New Lenox, but coming up, and the church is very prominent from the front, and obviously as you come around the back to the school entrance, you know, you've grown through the years, and there have been multiple additions, and so that foundation that started 63 years ago, obviously you've grown as the community has grown.
Absolutely.
We certainly have. As you can see, the building we are now in was, and this floor was both a church and a classroom. And we're going to build up, but we didn't do that. We built the church, which is now our office area. So yes, we have grown. And 10 years ago, we put up a brand new church that can seat maybe 1,400 people.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and I think that's a very good point. I think when it comes to a lot of families choosing a Catholic education for their children, it's because that's part of the way they were raised. They're part of the parish,
the Catholic tradition,
and they have that support. So I guess maybe that's something that you know, I'd like maybe you guys to talk a little bit more about, is that sense of community that people have right here as part of the school family.
Well, I think the greatest mission of, or one of the greatest missions of St. Jude's Parish is the school, because the school, our mission statement is living and learning our faith. So the whole idea of our school is to prepare the Catholic students, children, for the next generation of service in the Catholic Church. That being said, we also have a strong academic foundation, so we know that parents want both of those things together. So the families are very concerned about both the Catholic values that we teach and the strong academics that we provide.
Right, so that when they leave 8th grade,
they're very well prepared.
Well, and I think, Father, share with us a little bit as new people come into the parish. Obviously, you talk to them about what the school's mission is.
Of course, we talk about the school, we talk about all of our programs. We have a person hired who interviews with our new parishioners, and she will go over the entire scope of the parish, not only the school if they have children. In all of our programs, we certainly mention that we're proud of our grammar school. We have a program for expectant mothers. They're getting ready for their children to be born and baptized. Well, in that program, we also mention, you know, our school. We try to stay in touch with them so that they're familiar with us. And I think Luann has done an excellent job in, you know, reaching out to the community. The elderly are treated to a nice brunch once a year, and they're invited to the children's plays, etc. And besides a fine academic program we have here, as a Catholic priest, I'm really excited about the I would say the service aspect of our school and community. What we do is certainly do things for not only our own students, but we reach out. We help as many organizations as we possibly can with donations, and the children do a lot of fundraising to help. So we're pretty proud of that.
Well, I think that's huge. I mean, that whole
Oh,
giving
sure.
of your time and your talents, right?
Exactly.
And making a complete person as they're, you know, growing up. I think that's
Yeah.
great. Well, and Luann and I had the opportunity to visit a little earlier about some of the specific things that the students here are involved in, and I think that's very impressive, that it's not just this inward focus, it's very outwardly focused to make them well-rounded.
It is one of our extracurricular offerings besides sports, because we do have basketball, volleyball, is our Helping Hands group. And 4th through 8th graders get together at least once a month after school, and they always have a service project in mind. This month it's going to be visiting the Honor Flight participants, so they'll be meeting the Honor Flight men and women at Midway Airport.
Right.
So different things. Sometimes it's making cards for nursing homes. Last year they made Afghans for nursing homes. Just various activities that they do, and that's part of how we live our faith, and that's what we're trying to help our children learn.
Right.
And again, the whole time parents are involved. We highly encourage parents to be involved. It's not just a school for your children, it's a school for your family.
Right.
And that's one of the things parents like about our school, is that their children can come here as young as 3 years old in preschool and stay all the way through 8th grade. And that means one set of trips to school in the day instead of a couple different schools, and it means the same calendar throughout the year, the same days off. Parents like that. And also we offer daycare before and after school, so we're able to provide care for the children throughout the entire day, and the parents are comfortable knowing that the children are in a safe and happy and very nurturing place.
Right. Well, and that's huge. I mean, you mentioned that families can start their children here at preschool, age 3.
3 years old.
They have full-day kindergarten offered.
We offer full-day kindergarten.
And then they're here through 8th grade, and then they make the decision of where they go to high school. But, you know, the daycare part of things, you know, whether we like it or not, is a huge decision point for families these days. Either single-parent families or both parents working. And, you know, you're pulled in a lot of directions, and I think that having that continuity is huge on one hand, and I'm sure relieves a lot of guilt feelings that a lot of parents have when they have to be leaving their children.
A lot of anxiety that children feel. We're also small enough that we can really provide a lot of individual attention to children. So if a child happens to get sick and needs just a little extra love, we have that available because we are a small group.
Right.
Every teacher knows every child in this building, and vice versa.
Right. Well, it raises a question. Let's talk enrollment, the size of the school.
Right now we're at 193 students, and that's and pre-K through 8. Next year we hope to grow. We're always trying to grow a little bit, so hopefully we'll be a little bit over the 200 mark next year. One of the things I like and that parents like too is that our student-teacher ratio is very low. It's 14-to-1.
Wow.
So the students are able to get a lot of individual attention, and that means a lot. That means a lot to our families. So
well, I think you're able to better evaluate the needs of the individual student and cater to those a little bit.
Exactly. We recognize that each student is an individual. They learn differently. They have different needs, and we are able to accommodate those needs with the small numbers.
Well, and it gives you the chance to get to know the students.
Oh, very much so.
So none of them are getting away with anything, right?
Well,
let's not go that far.
Yeah, I understand.
They're usually a step and a half ahead of us.
Right. But we're working real hard to provide the best education we can. It is expensive, but with everyone working together and with the parish's support, we're able to do a lot for the kids and basically keep up with what they would get at a public school. Our technology initiative has started, well, it's been ongoing, but this year it's coming to fruition. We have iPads in every classroom.
Wow.
And next year we're going to be starting a one-to-one program where each student in 5th through 8th grade will have their own netbook, and they'll carry that with them from 5th grade through 8th grade, trying to prepare them to be 21st century learners. And certainly technology is a huge part of that.
It is a challenge just keeping up with how things have evolved, and they do have the electronics glued to their hip most of the time.
Well, and my teachers have been slightly intimidated with the iPads, but the kids are not.
No,
and the
not
students,
at all.
1st, 2nd graders know how to manipulate that, and there's so many wonderful educational applications that they're really a great tool. So we're happy that we're able to provide that.
Well, and it teaches them responsibility. If they're going to be handed this piece of technology that they're going to have for the next 3-4 years, then they have to be responsible with that, which I think is a good learning.
Excellent learning. We're very proud of our graduates. I think a sign of a good school is what they do after they leave us. And no matter what high school they go to in our community, they seem to excel. We're very proud of all the students that we send to Central, East, West, Providence, and they make the honor roll, they get involved in various activities. We're very proud of the success we have seen our students have at the local high schools.
And one of the things we like to is they like to come back.
Yes.
This is their home. Their parish is their home. We encourage them to come back and visit, and sometimes they help out with our students here. So they don't forget this background that they started out with at St. Jude. A lot of them being together for 7 or 8 years like they are, 9 years, they make lifelong friends.
Right.
So those friendships and those ties are really strong after that time.
Well, and I think that's a great point when you are able to move through your education with a consistent group of friends and students that you're with. Obviously, the level of comfort that you have and knowledge that you have is different than if you're in a different classroom every year with a different group of students. And you know, that again, getting back to that anxiety. They know their place and they feel comfortable in it. And, and they're here every week going to church then. So I think that some of them.
We hope that they do.
Well, and
we have a good number that do.
And I think you probably find what my experience was growing up is that if you have that foundation, you may not stick with it all the time, but by the time you're an adult,
you come back.
You come back. Yep.
And while we're in school, we do have daily prayer, celebrate the liturgy of the Mass once a week. We celebrate the liturgical seasons of the church. So they get all the traditions of the church as part of their regular school day. So that's something that parents appreciate, that we're passing on, how to pray the rosary, things like that.
Right. Well, I think one thing that is interesting about New Lenox as a community is that the school system is very strong and highly regarded.
Very good.
So I think it's very clear here that when people choose St. Jude's, it is a choice. It is an option. They aren't doing it because they have concerns about the academic foundation of the public schools, which is the case in some communities. And so I guess, if you guys can speak a little bit to, how your families make that choice and see St. Jude's as a good option for their primary education here in the community.
Well, I'm a parent too, and I sent my child all through Catholic school education. And as a parent, my biggest motivator was that I knew that at the Catholic school, she would get the same Christian values that I was trying to teach at home. She would get a great academic education, but most of all, she would get the same values that we were very much concerned about at home. So I think that's what parents want here. We're saying the same thing to their children that they're saying at home. So they're getting that reinforcement. And in today's society, it's difficult to raise children. So they hear the same story in both places.
You're right. There are a lot of outside influences at this point.
There are.
Right. And if they ever need any help, we have 3 priests here, and we're always available for counseling if that is needed, not only for our students, but for their families as well. And I hope we have a welcoming parish where we not only greet our own from our school, but the greater parish as well. We have over 4,200 families. And,
it's amazing.
We have a great love for this school because it is, maybe the shining diamond in our parish. Without it, I don't think we'd be as strong as we are.
Right. No, I think that's a very good point. And you raised the point of the opportunities for counseling and visiting with you. And I mean, let's face it, even the best families, the strongest families,
need help sometimes.
You run a few hurdles along the way. And I think that that's a nice thing that people have that level of familiarity with you, that if they need that you guys are right here
and we're
to
still
help.
within the New Lenox school system. And New Lenox has been very generous to us, providing certain services. They help identify children for us who might need some extra help. So they work hand in hand with us whenever we need their help. So they're very good at that. They provide all of our speech services. So just because a child comes to St. Jude, doesn't mean that we still can't have some of those
Specialty
services,
kind of things.
specialty, right, from the district. So
Right. Well, and I
we
know
work
you
well
guys
with the
work,
district.
another example is that the village does a Youth and Government Day on
Yes.
an annual basis. And
Right.
you guys participate in
included in
that,
that,
as do the public school
Right, it's important
students.
for us to have our children participate in community activities
Yeah.
and be part of the larger community.
Well, and I think that sense of cooperation between
Sure.
the public schools and yourselves, I think that's maybe unique. I don't know that that happens in all communities, but I think that that's something really admirable. So
We're lucky here that many of our parishioners work in our public schools.
that's a good point.
Not only as teachers, but as principals, superintendents, and that helps the bond.
Right.
You know, if we have a student that needs special attention, I think they recognize this is part of their parish too.
Sure.
And we work together.
Well, that's great.
It's a real good feeling to have.
Great. Well, I so thank you for inviting us in this morning. And, before we wrap up, is there anything more that you'd like to make sure that we cover for the viewing audience here in New
Well, I would
Lenox?
just like to invite people to come out if they have any more questions about our school, if they'd like to take a tour.
Sure.
They're welcome to do that at any time. I'd love to sit and discuss further how we can meet the needs of their families.
Well, that's wonderful. And like I said, you guys kind of tucked back in here
Yes,
as a
we
hidden
are.
jewel, so they may need to
Call for
find
directions,
you, but
that's fine.
Wonderful.
And we are on the
wonderful.
website, so there's lots of information out there.
Well, great.
And one of the things that I always like to say is we have the safest grammar school in Will County during tornado season.
Because
We're-
part of it's below grade,
We're 8
right?
feet under.
There you go. Well, I know where I'm heading then, so. All right, well, thank
Okay,
you so
thank you.
much
Okay.
for having us in. And please, New Lenox, come visit St. Jude's, give Luann a call or Father Lewandowski, and they'll be more than happy to give you a tour, and you can find out more about this great educational option for New Lenox.